Okay, fine. So our first speaker will be John Conlon from Barclaycard.
Thank you very much. Thanks, Eddie. Evening, everybody. As Eddie said, my name is John Conlon. I work in a digital payments team within Barclaycard, and I've come along to hopefully try and tell you a bit about what we do and try and give you a few ideas on some of the future vision work that we're doing around how customers pay for stuff. Barclaycard is in a position where we issue lots of cards. We've got about 11 million customers issuing cards, but we also, in the UK, and another 10 million abroad. We also accept a lot of payments, so we accept for about a third of the high street. So when you pay in Sainsbury's, we're actually running through that for the Barclaycard network. So we have a lot of information on customers and consumers and how they act from a purchasing, buying side, but also from the acceptance side. So I want to tell you about what we have done in a mobile payment space, and also share some of our thinking in that way, and hopefully leave lots of time for questions. So this will only hopefully go for about 10 minutes and then have lots of questions and debate. So first off, customer buying life cycle. So I've put this up for a reason, because this hasn't changed in a while. People want something, they evaluate it, they pay for it, they get it, they use it. What's changed a lot, and what we've seen a lot, is that technology is changing the way people interact with buying or trying to buy, for researching products. So that can be from traditionally going into a store and handing over cash, to going to the store, to putting in a card, to now we're seeing the trends are all about researching online, researching offline, going in store and making purchase decisions with lots of different technologies, so online and mobile and comparison sites. So it means that it's a much harder challenge for a retailer to convert a sale, and our interest in that is to try and put the best experience in front of a customer. So if a customer wants to find something, they can find it on a mobile and convert to a mobile and make that purchasing experience on mobile easy. Today it's a rubbish experience. You have to put in your 16-digit card details, your address details, and long verification information. It needs to be really, really simple. So that's what we're working on simple payment solutions, which mean, because the buying life cycle, the customer buying life cycle has moved from one place to another, we need to have a consistent experience across both of them. So that's a bit of the context about what we're seeing as the challenge. Next part is around what Barclaycard have done in a mobile space. So we've launched mobile payments, and what mobile payments means in this sense is that we've launched NFC payments, and NFC is near field communications, which is a chip that sits within the handset that works in a very similar way to a contactless card. And I should have said before, Barclays have launched contactless cards in all of the Barclays and Barclaycard cards. So about 5 years ago we started to roll out contactless, which you may see on your credit or debit card, which is a little symbol that allows you to tap the card to pay for something, as opposed to have to stick it in and put your PIN in. Now, what mobile allows you to do is convert that to the next stage, where you can use your phone, tap your phone against a reader and pay for something. So that means you can pay for something up to a value of £20. Customers can see what they've spent, they can manage what they've spent, they can look to get offers onto their phone, and it just allows, there's a much more interactive way of customers managing what they want to buy or researching what they want to buy. So that's a launch so far. It's really backed on the idea that we believe customers will use their mobile, and we all probably use our mobile a lot more than we did even 2 or 3 years ago. We believe consumers will use that to buy and manage much more of their life. So we want to give them the option to manage cards, manage offers, manage coupons within this wallet. And you'll hear a term about a digital wallet. Well, that's really what it's kind of applications that sit on the phone that are secure, which is a really important part, which is about the fact that you use it and we know it's you. So the point earlier on about security is really key, that we know it's that customer, we can authenticate that customer, and we can give them a really quick experience to go and buy something or compare something. So the service is launched. There's a £50 incentive because it's a new technology to make people aware of the fact that they can use their phone to tap and pay. The customer loads the application with a credit card or a debit card, so they put money onto this account. Quite similar to an Oyster card, you load money onto it, then you spend down on it. So it gives the control of knowing how much you're putting into this payment mechanism, but also allows you to manage it and top up from the phone. So it's that's a bit of the background on what's launched so far. What I also wanted to share is around, this is more about the the future commerce experiences that we're looking at, and I didn't want to come along and just talk about Barclaycard products and give you a pitch on what we do, because you could go and find that out on the website if you wanted to. I wanted to share some of the thinking on how we see commerce moving forward. So there's a few stats on here around how we see consumers living their lives. So much more connected, smarter homes I'll come on to around how that can play in the payment space. And what we set our challenge is trying to understand how people will live their lives, and making it easier to facilitate customers living their lives, and payments will sit underneath that. So today a payment comes at the end of a transaction or a thought or an action. What we are setting our challenges on making sure that the payment can be a seamless experience throughout, and it's not, it's effectively, it's removing the friction of the experience, so it makes it easier for someone to transact. So on that, I've got 6 drivers for change that I've put up here, and this is by no means complete. This is just a starter on some areas that we're looking at, and I thought I'd share them. One's around hybrid retail. This is the concept that I mentioned at the start. People aren't shopping in the way they used to. People are comparing online, offline with different devices. So the way we need to set ourselves up for is that merchants and consumers can both check what they want to across different channels. So if I go and look at something on a phone and I go to want to convert online, I need that to be seamless. I need there to be some kind of authentication and recognition that the fact I've gone and got an offer or a coupon or a product, and allow that to go multi-channel. So hybrid retail is happening already. Next one is around autonomous commerce. Now this is really around effectively underlying machine-to-machine payments. So this is the idea that there will be lots of payments in the future that happen in the background. So an example being tax, car tax. We believe that the car tax could work on a pay-as-you-go system. Rather than pay £180 or £200 per year, you go down to a per user. It moves to this more personalised outlook where you pay per user and pay per mile. And underneath that, you need infrastructure to recognise that I've gone a certain distance in car or a certain distance on a certain road and transact that payment. So it's this autonomous area where the other example is you could use as a smart fridge. So you heard this kind of concept of a fridge that recognises what you've spent and how you've spent and what products you've got, that you've got all these payments that go underneath that, underneath the platform. Third one is participative propositions, which is a bit of a mouthful. This is the concept where we believe there's already a big challenge on brands and trust in data and people sharing, that we believe there'll be a much more community-driven aspect to purchasing, and community not in a social sense, but community more in a buying sense, in a buying power. So if you kind of think Groupon and what Groupon stood for to start with was around buying power of multiples, and it's changed really what that's turned into, but we believe that community spirit and community ability to drive better deals will come out of, will kind of evolve in participation, and means that we've got to set ourselves up to allow different payment routes to work underneath that. Person-to-person authentication. Now this is a bit of a kind of an industry insight. This is really around the fact that today we have to authenticate ourselves, and so we carry around a piece of plastic and it has some verification, and we have to put a 4 digits on top of that. We see that going away in time, that you can use the likes of biometrics to recognise someone, the likes of using location, facial recognition, and true kind of human fingerprint and iris and the likes of that in time will lead away from the need to carry around these kind of traditional plastic pieces of card. Next one is around smarter homes. So this is around this is the initiative the government are putting in place, and I believe it's I was told the biggest investment since the North Sea oil exploration, where by 2020 there's going to be, I think it was 53 million smart homes. So this is where the homes are connected. So our homes, the electricity we use, the fuel we use, what we consume, will be connected and be smart. So this will allow us to give electricity to others, to buy electricity, to barter. Puts a lot more pressure on big utility companies, where you'll have the need or the want to get onto one bill as being a really, really important part, but the control for customers being much stronger. So the British Gas have already put out an application which allows you to download your app and manage your electricity whilst you're out of the house. So this idea of smarter homes is really interesting because it allows the payments network to work in a different way than it does today. Today, you spend and at the end of the month you pay. This will transform the way payments can work within that. And then lastly, we've got ingredient apps. This is the idea of applications. In the application world, we're already there. People are building loads of applications. So this is this is talking about the developers amongst the space where we need to create payment options for someone in a garage who wants to go and create a service, and they need to make payments across a whole network of systems. Today, it's quite a cumbersome, difficult process. We need to get ourselves ready for the fact that apps are out there and people will build more apps that need to make payments in an easier way. So lastly, I wanted to give you some thoughts on digital wallet. So you may, depending on how much interested you are or know about this space, digital wallet as a term is bounded around in many different ways. These are some areas that Barclaycard are looking at and investigating to make the experience on a handset better. There'll be lots of digital wallets that emerge. We believe the ones that will be successful will be the ones that give more than just payment. So these ideas on here, so verification, this is the point that in a secure element on a handset, which is very, very secure, you can load in your passport or your driver's license or information which verifies you to that handset. So it could become an identification method. Payments, I've mentioned already around the contactless payments. Social money is this idea that we've launched with Ping It, Barclays Ping It, which allows me to socially transfer money. So we can transfer money from one mobile number to another mobile number. It's a lot easier for people to share and lend money that way than having to log on to online banking. So that's one area that we've launched. Transit is going to be a big driver. TfL are moving to pay at gate in the next coming year, hopefully. This is where your contactless card will be able to use at the gate to make payments. Similarly, your mobile phone will be able to make payments at a gate, so you won't need an Oyster card. This is this concept of using contactless to make payments for that. So that's going to be a big driver for the adoption. We believe the adoption and awareness of these services. When there's a reason for me to use this in a daily, habitual way, rather than just having the payment part to it. Access is this idea of ticketing and access and being able to store this locally or in the cloud, probably more likely actually more in the cloud, and being secure. So the likes of British Airways have already got a great application that allows you to access your tickets and your boarding passes on there. Bill payments, this is where you can manage your bills and transfer those. Tailored offers is a really exciting area. This is where you effectively overlay data that you may have on a customer and make sure that an offer is relevant. So there's a lot of talk about offers and payments and putting the two together. If they're not relevant and they're not personalised or they're not kind of to me, we see there's a lot of turn off. So that's a big opportunity around something that's relevant to the customer. And the mobile phone allows you to manage that. So you can download it, authenticate it, and then use the offer to actually make payments at a time. E-receipting on the left-hand side is this concept where you move away from paper receipts. You still need a paper trail, or consumers still want a paper trail, or sorry, a trail for a receipt for refunds or for reconciliation. This is the concept where you can use that in a digital form, manage it in a digital form, be it on the phone or be it online. And then a shopping comparison, which we kind of touched on already. This idea of getting me the best deal and facilitating the best deal. There's lots of shopping comparison sites out there. This isn't about rebuilding those. It's about giving access in a relevant way to people shopping. And that's it. That's a bit of a kind of a quick summary on a little bit of what we're doing, a little bit on some of the thoughts about some future commerce space. Open up for questions.
Is there a question for John? I'll pass this out.
Okay.
Hi, John.
Hi, Stuart.
Start with an easy question for you. Can you give us an insight as to where the demand for these sorts of services are coming from? Are they from an individual group or demographic, or is it actually demand from the banks trying to make money or the telecoms trying to make money? Where's the demand for these services coming from?
Good question. So the demand, there aren't customers knocking on our door saying, I need this, if I'm honest. This is really about us the broader ecosystem, so banks, telcos, handset manufacturers, trying to look at what technologies are out there and put together propositions that we believe consumers will want. So it's more trying to think about what will make their lives easier, and in turn make some money on the back of that. This isn't not doing it for just for charity. So it's not a demand at the moment saying give me this. It's more the trying to think about what will hopefully help people moving forward. And I should also just add to that, the payments part, making a payment for something isn't sexy. It just has to work. So it has to work, it has to be secure, and it has to be really quick and simple. So part of what we're trying to do is move away from just that simple payment point, because it's quite simple.
When everyone talks about like the cashless mobile fueled payment society, what happens when my mobile runs out of battery?
Very good question. So it does. The NFC chip works when the phone's off, but that's not. There's a challenge on here. If customers are going to put information and important information into their handset, it needs to work. So the manufacturers are working harder on that. The phone, they're making sure the batteries are better, but the underlying NFC chip will work when the phone is off. So if your phone ran out of battery on the underground, you'd still get out the other side.
I think Ping It is a great idea. I'm interested in how well it's actually doing. What are the numbers like?
So the numbers are really good. I would say that, but I can't give away. So we've had, I'm not sure what numbers we've actually published. I think we've had over 1 million downloads of Ping It, and what we've seen is that we've had. There's a great usage. There's a great use in certain segments. So we've had a lot of downloads, a lot of interest. We've had some one-off usage, as you'd expect. People try it and actually say it's not for me. But there's quite a big segment of those who are using it, and it's some interesting insights around the time of usage. We've seen spikes early in the morning, so 1, 2 o'clock in the morning, where we're kind of guessing it's related to nights out or getting home or losing money or needing to get home. But it's quite interesting when you look at the times of day as to how people are using it. But the interest has been fantastic. That kind of that want or the kind of download an app and make it really. It was the simplicity of it. Mobile number to mobile number. It's just really simple.
How big is this market? How big is this market, and what are your main issues in promoting this type of products?
How big is it? It depends which analyst report you believe. Big. I wouldn't know which number. I don't even believe some of the numbers myself. It's billions. It's a huge. The payments market is huge. I wouldn't know a number off the top of my head. So contactless. If you take contactless transactions, is less than. Where are we? About. I think it's around 10%. Mobile contactless. In the UK, there are only a handful of handsets launched. So the number of transactions are very small today, but the forecast is premised on handset speed in the market. So you need to have NFC handsets available to use this, and there's a big growth over the next 18 to 24 months on handsets in market. You need retailers to accept contactless, which again is growing at a rapid pace this year, with some big tier 1 retailers rolling out. So today it's very small. But we believe it will grow rapidly.
What are your fraud issues and how are you handling them?
If I take the second part first, how we're handling them is exactly the same way as we do on card. So the guarantee that we offer is that this is as secure as, or the fraud replacement is the same as a card. So if there's any fraud on your card, we back that. We investigate it, back it, and give the customer the money back. It's exactly the same on this. So if there was a fraud complaint with a mobile payment, we follow the exact same procedures. And how big is it? It's very small.
Actually, clearly when you put more importance on how a mobile interacts with or how you use mobile to make payments
and your identity and everything. If you lose your mobile, that's an issue. So you can deal with the fraud after it's happened, but what safeguards are you putting in the beginning to try and prevent the fraud happening in the first place?
So the safeguards, exactly. So the specs we follow for this, the Mastercard PayPass is the card that it's a virtual card that sits on the handset. So to get that launched and ratified, it's got to be exactly the same as a card. So it's as secure. The way the transaction communicates with the point of sale is in a very similar way to a card. It's that chip communication. It's a secure transaction. So it's not that we're taking fraud lightly. This has taken 3 years to launch. It's really complex about making sure that all those rules work in exactly the same way. Well, not the rules work in exactly the same. The security levels and our confidence levels are the same. So it's not a case of looking at fraud afterwards. It's very much up front.
Okay, thank you.
Just want to know, firstly, what is your provision for people who aren't Barclays customers? Do you have a kind of like a sort of baby product that you can use if you're not a Barclays customer? And secondly, you gave a massive wish list of features and stuff in your presentation, which would be pretty unwieldy if you put them all into one app. So what do you envisage being the kind of core planks of your functionality in the app, or are you just going to make it as huge and unwieldy as you described it as being?
That wasn't supposed to be everything in an app. That was kind of the potential of a wallet. Take the first part, and I should have mentioned this, the application is open to any customers, any UK credit or debit customers. So if I'm a Lloyds customer or HSBC customer, I can download the application on Orange and register the HSBC card or my Lloyds card. It's not closed to Barclays at all. So very much open in the same way.
It was mainly the NFC I was asking about, really, in that regard. Like the Barclays Contactless, is that open or not? I know Ping it's open, but I didn't know whether the Contactless is also open to other customers.
Yes, it is. The phone, anyone can buy the phone, depending on which bank they're on. They can load money onto it. And your second part of the question, to start with, the big focus is around making payments better and simpler on a phone and online, and looking at tailored offers around putting almost kind of trying to inspire a purchase for a customer, putting something in front of them which is relevant. Some of the others take a lot of technology and security to develop, but the idea of that is that it's possible future aspects, and it may not all sit in one application. It might be different applications that spin off of.
There's already plenty of experience of people's NFC cards in the United States being cloned without them knowing about it. And not only that, but I have got a certain amount of intelligence that through the open NFC, it's actually possible to access data from the rest of the card or from an NFC-enabled cell phone. So actually, what you've got is an open port.
I wouldn't agree with it. Your point about there isn't an inherent. I wouldn't say it's an inherent. So cards have been read. There have been the cases of cards being read. That only reads the information on the front of a card. That doesn't read any PIN information, any secure information on the card. See, it's a pretty secure technology. There have been cases where card information has been grasped. That doesn't go down to any secure information around PIN.
Thank you, John.
Thank you.